Good evening and welcome to Satsang. Lovely as always to be with you. Please note next week there's going to be a time change here in the US. So if you're outside of the country, just keep that in mind and do a little time zone math. Okay. So let us shut down our eyes and open our hearts. And let us just acknowledge from a place of compassion just how difficult life can be. How messy and confusing. And how easily we get lost in our story, our trauma, our pain. And let us invoke the presence of love throughout our body, and would invite us all just to meet in the root chakra, just inviting this human form to be held in a space of love and safety. Inviting love to flow into the hips and the pelvis, the legs and the feet, and alleviating any trauma or tension, any sense of fear or despair. As we're just breathing in and breathing out and just inviting the presence of love to come into our physical life, come into our physical body, the root chakra, and even just noticing if there's any part of the root chakra that fears or that grips or could use some supportive love. So we're inviting the love of your heart to flow down into the root. We're inviting the love of the Divine Mother to flow down and hold our body. And right away, you might notice it beginning to feel better, more open in the root, more connected. So we can feel into the hara, breathing deeply here. And again, just noticing if there's any old pain or turmoil in the space of the hara. Just inviting a sense of love flow into our hara, our lower belly, clearing out any karma, any fear. We're just inviting each of these centers to be reestablished in a sense of divine order. In this case, the divine order of love, which is our true nature, the nature of the divine. And so just breathing, feeling, softening. Now including the third chakra center, the solar plexus chakra. Inviting love and radiance to awaken here. Holding a sense of love in the root and the hara, and now the solar plexus. Right away, you may begin to feel it's like there's a foundation here of love, a foundation of light. And also it may feel like a fountain of light, fountain of love. This foundation of strength and light and love, safety, radiance, and a fountain of love and light and strength and radiance. It's flowing up the spine, flowing into the heart chakra. Just noticing if there's any heaviness or denseness or any guardedness, just having a sense of, casting it out, like throwing it to the side, like being done with whatever is old and past and dead, rigid, finding the heart to be radiantly open. You may even feel almost like a burning sense of light, power, fire, flowing up from the root, the hara, the solar plexus, and the heart. Absolutely open. The front, the chest, the right side of the heart is open. Behind the heart is open. Sometimes we hold or carry some of the past or heaviness behind the heart. Let's just let it go, let it die. Giving ourselves full permission to surrender anything that we've held for too long. Any weight that we're ready to be done carrying. Feeling into the left side of the heart and just noticing if we're holding anything on the left side of the heart. Breathing, feeling, opening. So the whole chest and the back is lit up. We're coming into our true self. Self which is radiant and free. Present in the here and now. So let us more fully open our throat chakra, allowing this light and radiance to clear out any karmic congestion. Finding this fountain of light to flow up. The root, the hara, the solar plexus, the heart. Flowing through the throat chakra. Flooding into the space of the mind. Guiding the mind to expand out in every direction. expansion of light, radiance, and freedom. Of course, for some of you, it's important that you surrender your thoughts or your busyness of mind or doing or efforting in order to allow your mind to be vast and spacious and free. Small price to pay for freedom. Just knowing and trusting, nothing you need to think about or sort or fix in this moment. Allowing yourself to be vast, spacious, radiant, and free. So again, just feeling into the root, noticing this fountain of light flowing out from the root, the hara, solar plexus, the heart, the throat, going throughout the space of the mind, going up through the crown chakra. The man's fountain. Absolute radiance. And of course, when we are this open, the grace of God begins to pour down from above, washing over us. I invite each of you just to place something that is old or dead on the sacrificial altar, letting it be washed away. Something you're done with, that you're ready to release, something that needs to be forgiven, let go of, or forgotten. Let this healing grace wash over you. Washing away the past. Flowing down with this healing. Water just pouring over the body, the hand, the neck, the shoulders. Washing over the heart. Any aspect of the human self that has missed the mark in this lifetime. Let it be washed away. Let yourself be brought into a new life. Ever-present radiance. And immense love. Breathing, feeling, opening. Fully surrendering. Fully surrendering. Fully receiving. Fully becoming the light that you are. The love that you are. The truth that you are. So I invite you to smile at your divinity. Fall in love with your beauty, your innocence, your purity. I invite you to awaken fully out of egoic identification. Any story of hopelessness, fear, need to control, or whatever it may be, and know what it is that you are. That you are the light. That you are this immense love. That you are the heart of compassion. That you are a freedom that has no end. And so I welcome you to satsang. I welcome you to the recognition of your divinity. And so how wonderful it is to be able to come together in this way and to honor what we are. I was at church today, and a couple people had spotted me at church. People who had done work with me in the past, and who had come and received these teachings, and they came up to me, and they were really smiling at me and honoring me, and one lady was like really looking at me with a sense of awe. And it's one of these things on the spiritual path is we reserve this for our teachers. Like we look at our teachers with awe, with great respect. And we honor them. Sometimes we gaze into their eyes. But I invite you to do this with yourself. I invite you to see your bigness, for you to acknowledge your beauty and your divinity. And I invite you to do this every day, all day long, all day long. You loving you, you falling in love with you, you being in awe of your divinity. But most of us, we don't do this. Most of us, we are in awe, absolute awe of our story. We're in awe of our trauma. We're in awe of our politics. We are in awe of our mask. It's like we give all of our time and our attention to just listening to the endless chatter of the commentator. I had this funny experience yesterday. We've had some really wild weather here in Colorado. We've had like 2 days of really intense wind, and often like we don't get much wind here because it just kind of blows over the mountains, or I don't know what it is, but wind's normally like not such a thing here. But we've had these wild winds, and it's been a little bit warmer here because we're getting into spring, and the spring in Colorado, it's a confusing time because it could be 70 degrees. It could be snowing sideways. It could be really windy or whatever it is. But, as all the snow's melting, like here in Colorado, we all just love to get outside. Like that's what we do for fun. And so I got my bike and I was going to go out for a ride yesterday. And, I tried to go on this trail, but real soon I realized, it's just going to be full of mud. So I turned around and I just kind of pedaled around in the streets a little bit. And then I pedaled up to the college, and up at the college, there's this little church, like a little chapel, and no one's ever in it. It's one of my favorite places. So, after like riding my bike around in circles and kind of being a little frustrated that I didn't get to get a big mountain bike ride in, I ended up at this little church. And as soon as I walked into the church, my mind was at ease. But when I was outside of the church, my mind wasn't at ease. I was trying to satisfy some kind of human desires. I just had a desire for exercise, and I had a little frustration, just with a little bit of cabin fever, with springtime and, getting over winter or whatever. And I was just noticing that the nature of our mind, the nature of the human ego is we're always looking outside of ourselves for satisfaction. We're always looking for something. to satisfy us or to scratch, that itch, to fulfill that temporary need. And for some of us, it's online shopping. For others, it's in-person shopping. For some people, it's like they get a little anxious and they need to go and run to Starbucks and get a $9 coffee or something. Or some people, it's a little spot of chocolate or this or that. For some of us, it's exercise. And again, like, these aren't the worst things. It's not a big deal to go exercise. It's good for the body. But what's really good for the soul is a willingness just to put everything down and to connect to the love that you are. Connect to the silence that you are. What's this word I heard at church today? I think it was living water, right? Isn't that what Jesus said? Like, he walked up to a well, and the lady at the well, was just trying to get some water to drink. Basically, Jesus, he went up there, he asked her for a drink, but then he said something like, I provide the living water. The water that once you drink of it, you'll never be thirsty again. You'll never be thirsty again. And that's what this path is about, is us plugging into our divinity. And being satisfied. Satisfied, truly satisfied. From the recognition of your own beauty, of your own light, of your vast, spacious freedom. Being satisfied from your own essence. Like, the human condition is, we just look for things outside of us. And so often it shows up in relationship that we demand our partners love us a certain way, look at us a certain way, speak to us a certain way, treat us with respect. We demand that they want what we want all the time. And of course, this just creates a disaster in relationship because, they might want something different. They might want something different than you. They might not be in the mood to love you. But what if you were in the mood to love you, to see you, to honor you, to be the light? And when we drink from this cup, when we plug into this light, there's freedom. And there's this recognition of this great okayness. This great okayness. The I am okayness itself. Not just like, I am okay. Like, I am okayness. The Buddha terminology for this is, I am the ground of being. I am all that is. I am the mountain. I am the sky. But in order to know this, we have to surrender our infatuation with the thoughts in our mind. We have to give up on desire. And in a sense, we have to have just one desire. A desire for the truth. The recognition, the realization of the truth of your being. That's what I want to know. That's what I want to experience. I have had this funny thing happen. It happened, I can't remember how long ago, but maybe like 8 or 10 years ago. Like I started to have a really hard time with sugar. And, like occasionally, a friend would be like, hey, let's go get an ice cream, it's probably my wife. she loves to go get ice cream. Or my child be like, hey, let's go get an ice cream. And I'd be like, all right, sure. And, I'd walk into the ice cream parlor and my mouth would start to, get a little bit wet with of anticipation of getting a new chocolate ice cream or something. And then I'd have it. And then, because I'm just one of these ridiculously sensitive individuals, be like 15 minutes later, I'd have like a terrible headache after, having a kitty scoop of ice cream. It was just like, and I started to get these headaches anytime I had sugar. And I was just like, dang, I was just wanting a little bit of that ego desire and feel satisfied by it, but it just couldn't even do that. Like my body just started reacting to it. And of course, like I've had the same thing with alcohol. I can't have a sip of alcohol. I can't drink coffee. But like even when I could drink coffee, like there was a small time when I could drink coffee when I was like 17 years old, maybe. And I can remember just drinking it and savoring the taste. I was like, oh, this is good. And then wanting to drink some more, and then wanting to drink some more, and then being all jacked up, like, someone on drugs or whatever. And it's just like, this was the nature of desire. It's just like always chasing. And I have some friends, like they do, like they're always regulating their body. Like with coffee and then with then some other substance. It's like always adjusting that thermostat, just like trying to get it just right, but never fully being able to do it. Just one of the problems with chasing desires. It's like we'll always be chasing. And as I stepped into that little chapel yesterday, I realized, my mind was just like looking for something on the outside. I was looking for a dry trail is what I was looking for. I was looking for a dry trail. That's like what my desire was. A trail that wasn't, didn't have snow on it. That was melting and turning to mud. And I came into the church and it was just like everything became calm. Absolutely at ease. And I smiled again. It's like, oh yeah, oh yeah. Can it just be this simple? Can the path be this simple? That maybe we don't need anything on the outside. And we need everything on the inside. But this requires someone who is courageous enough to put everything down. And some people aren't willing to put everything down. Some people, they want to hold on to their story. And some people have terrible stories. Terrible stories, and they won't let go of it. Some people's story is, I've suffered the most. I've suffered more than you. I've suffered more than you. And they hold on to that story for dear life. And despite showing up and reading all the spiritual books and meditating, there's something within them that just won't let go of this story. Now, if we study a little bit of psychology, we see that our mind, it tends to hold on to terrible stories because it thinks, it has like a rationale that if I hold on to my really bad story and keep repeating it in my mind, then that will somehow protect me from it happening again. Other people hold on to their terrible story and express it to everyone as a way of getting attention. Like they're not getting any love from themselves. They're not getting any love from mom or dad or sister, brother, or partner, whoever. They say, I'm going to tell everyone my terrible story and see if someone will give me attention. And the great question, like if we want to be free, is are we willing to stop looking outward? Stop asking others to do the work for us? Are we willing to be here with our pain and to meet our sadness, meet our heartache, meet our trauma with an absolute love, an absolute kindness, and an absolute peace? A peace. Because sometimes our story, it just needs peace. It just needs peace. Sometimes the mind, it tricks itself. Like if I talk about it enough, I'm going to find some resolution in it. And sometimes the more we talk about our pain, the worse it gets. The worse it gets. Sometimes if we just come into peace, come into silence, and just let it all die. I took my family yesterday on a hike out in the mountains. And my daughter, she complained like the whole way there. She was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And, I tried to talk to her and it's just like, no, that wasn't going to stop her from complaining. Her mom tried to talk to her. That wasn't going to stop her from complaining. And, I drove us up into the mountains and, I drove up onto a north face, like the north face of the mountain. And I drove to the end of the road and it we just got stopped because there was just too much snow. There was just like a wall of snow. And I was like, okay, let's just get out and walk here. And my daughter was like, oh, and huffing and puffing and really, as upset as could be. And I was like, I'm just going to walk. I'm going to just walk. And I'm just not going to say anything to her. And as we began to walk, she started to like think of bad things that could happen. She's like, I'm scared. And her mom's like, what are you scared of? It's like, I'm scared of animals. And it's like, come on, girl, we live in Colorado. Like, this isn't a place to be scared of animals. And we just kept walking, and the sky was big, and the mountains were snow-capped and beautiful. We saw this massive valley. And then all of a sudden, like, everything was okay. She found peace in the silence. She found peace in the silence. And we walked for a while. And then she started just smiling. Just smiling. It's one of the beautiful things that happens when we walk into nature. If we give ourselves permission to just be in nature, to be in this moment, to be in the absolute beauty that's here. After a while, the mind stops. And we begin to know peace. And this peace that we see in the outer world of nature, we begin to experience in the inner world of ourselves. And so after a while, we turned around, we went down the hill, and I said, let's look for some animals. Let's see if we see any turkeys, because the turkeys are coming out now. And let's see if we see any elk, and see if we see any mule deer. And then, on the way home, my little girl spotted a whole herd of elk. And she was like, Daddy, are those horses? And I was like, no, those aren't horses, She's like, what are those? I was like, those are elk, sweetie. Those are elk. And it's so beautiful to see a herd of elk. It's one of the great gifts of living in Colorado, where there's still enough animals that can live in a herd. And you just start to see beauty everywhere. You start to see beauty everywhere. But it's funny that this beauty, it can be ended very quickly. If we just pick up one thought, I wish I had this. My boyfriend wasn't nice to me. This guy on the internet, he said something. He said something. He said something. This person is against trans people. This person is voting for Trump, If we go into our mind and we just start creating divisions, we start arguments, we start fights, often with people who aren't even there. And all the while, it's like Jesus is looking at us like we are the woman at the well. He's saying, hey, I have this water that will quench your thirst forever. If you want it. If you want it. And Jesus's trick was, like, I have it. But really, it's like, it's in you. It's in you. It's in all of us. If we begin to drink from this fountain of truth, this fountain of light, this fountain of love. But so many of us, instead of drinking from this fountain of light, we drink from the fountain of judgment. It's just like, I don't like this. I don't like that. I don't like you because you voted for somebody. I don't like this person. I don't like that person. I don't like what they said. I don't like that car. It's too loud. I don't like this music. I can remember, as a little kid, I used to like cut grass to make money. And I used to have one of those Walkmans, like the little Walkmans with the little earphones and a tape deck in it. And, like in the modern age, we can get the exact music we like. We can give it a thumbs up, a thumb down. We can skip it, we can search all over. We can be here and there. We can just spend our whole day just like scrolling on the internet. And in the olden days, you just press play and you'd cut the grass. There wasn't any skipping. There wasn't any moving around. It was you'd listen just to the whole album without complaining. You just listen. We just receive. Before that, we just listened to the radio. It's just like whatever's on the radio, that's what you got. That's what you got. I guess you could turn it up or turn it down. But, sometimes our mind is just given too many choices. And like that's the whole thing with like the infinity scroll on Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is, or YouTube. It can always just scroll, always chase, get those little dopamine hits. But I want to know what is awake right here and now. What is awake right here and now? What is it that you are when you're not chasing? When you're not chasing, when you're not complaining, when you're not judging. What is it that you are? Do you ever stop and just look at yourself in the mirror and see, recognize your absolute beauty? Your absolute beauty. And so, if anyone has something they'd like me to speak about in the chat or a question, you can bring it forward. Terry's telling me to eat keto ice cream, no sugar. Yeah. Yeah. I'm always confused about what keto is. Anyways. So, well, I guess that's all she wrote. So lovely to be with you all. Please, I'm going to leave you with this homework. Please, I want you, when you're done with me, to go look in the mirror and just gaze into your eyes, into the absolute beauty that you are. And I invite you this night, this day, this moment, to fall in love with yourself. To fall in love with yourself. And so I'm going to leave you with that. God is great all the time. See y'all next time. Good night, everyone.